Hello, and welcome to Pressing Buttons. I'm Hugo,
I'm Nick.
and it's great to have you. Another great week, another great episode here at Pressing Buttons. We're back again, baby. Episode 52. Look at that. The new 52. That's a DC reference for you guys.
I was like, oh, I know it's a reference to something. I just have no idea.
Thanks for joining us, like I said earlier, on another episode. Just a quick little housekeeping thing. I'm sorry for our podcast listeners that listen on Spotify and
Apple?
and Google. There was a little bit of an error releasing on the audio version of the episode. I didn't realize it, but the intro got kind of spliced into the beginning of the episode, but I fixed it. Thanks. Shout out to Felix and Zach, some of our most loyal listeners that spotted that, and I was able to fix it right away. So sorry about that. Usually doesn't happen. I'll be more cautious next time. So just...
And we immediately terminated the audio producer. Right?
Yeah.
So they're gone.
That's
So
why
it'll never happen again.
just get a new audio producer every time. We are nothing but perfectionists, if anything. But that's it. That's the housekeeping stuff. And we can move on to the juicy stuff, which is, I believe, this is going to be Nick's favorite episode because we're going to talk about something that he loves so much, and that's Nintendo, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nintendo surprised everybody. They announced a Nintendo Direct, I believe, on Monday for Tuesday. Just kind of threw the internet up in flames. As always, Nintendo Directs are kind of a big thing. Everybody loves watching them. They always love speculating what's coming out. And then with a lot of titles this year, they don't have a lot of announcements for future titles, especially anything else besides Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. That's like the only big major title that they were announcing. So, it was about time, and nothing but a bomber. And obviously, Twitter went down for a little bit, so that's how hyped people were about it.
Yeah, actually, I remember I saw people complaining about Twitter breaking, but I actually didn't know
What it was.
what happened. Like,
You couldn't post at the time because they're...
oh, you couldn't post.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're implementing a new thing. Great job, Elon, where you can't exceed the limits of the tweets that you can post. I think you're only going to be able to post 20 tweets a day unless you're checkmarked. Then you can post more. So they were testing that, and then people couldn't post. Everybody couldn't post. You had to schedule your tweets. So you had to put a tweet that was going to schedule a minute after you tweeted it. That was the only way people could post.
Okay. Well, that makes sense because I don't think I've ever tweeted ever.
Yeah,
I basically just use it as a news aggregator.
I just like stuff and I
yeah.
retweet stuff, but that's it. So Elon, you're doing great. That's sarcasm. No, you're not. Just sell it, buddy. All right. Anyway, so let's talk about Nintendo. A lot of big news. I think it was a great direct, but I'll talk about that when we're done, kind of looking at everything that they announced. But let's start off with, obviously, The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. They saved a brand new trailer for the end. It was about a minute and a half, 2-minute trailer. It looked awesome. It looked more Breath of the Wild, obviously, but just now you're going to be going up in the sky. Link seems to be infected, which is the big thing going on these days. So he's infected. His arm's a little bit fucked up. They released some promo art. I believe the Master Sword is also rotting or something. So pretty cool. You can hear Ganon in the background saying things. So I'm excited. Obviously, it's a bit more of Breath of the Wild. I know some people aren't super hyped about it because it is not like a new Zelda. It's just basically a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild, just like Majora's Mask was kind of like a direct sequel to A Link to the Past, I would say, to Ocarina of Time. So it's also going to be Nintendo's first $70 games, and obviously the Nintendo Switch not being the main console of everybody's choice. It's more of a everybody demographic, whereas the PlayStation and the Xbox are just kind of more adult demographic. It is kind of weird that it's a $70 game, but in my opinion, if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Nintendo for Legend of Zelda. They can do it. People are going to buy it anyways. It's only a $10 difference. I know with the markets and stuff, Nick knows more about it, so he'll explain it better. But I think, eventually they were going to do it. It's a big price. And the funny thing about this is that Nintendo never lowers the price on things, so it's going to be $70.
$70 forever.
Yeah. It's going to be $70 30 years from now.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the trailer for Tears of the Kingdom and the big pricing and all that stuff?
No, the trailer looks awesome. It definitely has... It's much more darker in tone, which I think is consistent with Majora's Mask, and the tone of that game versus Ocarina of Time. So and there's also a lot more Princess Mononoke vibes. So that's the Studio Ghibli movie. So I think even like the arm being infected or like that's like
Yeah.
like basically pulled from that movie. So no, it looked awesome. I think even after this direct, Tears of the Kingdom will be the only other game that I buy on the Switch. So it was good that it continues to look great. I'm excited to play it when it launches. Yeah, $70. I thought that was interesting, where it's just for that one game, because I think the other pricing trends have been more like broad, where it's like, hey, just Sony, PlayStation Studio, it's like just that's the new market price for all these games. But Nintendo is specifically targeting Zelda to be that price point because they know people are going to buy it regardless.
Well, they bought a fucked up $60 Pokemon game, so
yeah. I think this might be the first time where the price I pay in terms of dollars is higher than the frame rate of the game.
but you got to do it.
Damn. Yeah. So yeah, there's that. There's also they brought back the voucher system. Do you know these things?
No, what's a voucher system?
I need to look into a little bit more, but it's a program that they used to have where you save a little bit of money. So you basically buy like a like you spend money for a voucher, and then you can redeem that voucher for 2 games.
Oh, okay.
And I think there's like a little bit of a discount. So I think a lot of people are like, oh well, can you still use these like vouchers to get Zelda
and then something else.
and something else, and then like actually pay basically, the 60. I don't know. So,
but that's not you though.
There might be
not...
a scheme. Yeah. So to me, I think this is why this is like the genius of Nintendo. We're like, oh well, if people are that upset about the $10 price point, then they can buy these vouchers, effectively forcing you to like just get another game.
Genius marketing.
Yeah. And so there was a part of me that's like, okay, shit. Well, maybe I do get another Switch game. But as we'll get into it with the rest of the games in the direct, I think some of the titles that I was interested by, I think they're going to end up being on other platforms. So
yeah, I was going to say there might be a couple options in here from what we talked about.
Yeah.
That you might get another title.
Yeah, but I think I'm planning on holding the line. Tears of the Kingdom will be the
just pay the
last
70,
game. I'll pay $70.
Just the $70.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a one thing we always talk about, where like the pricing and is it worth it, and for one game, like you said, it's probably going to be your only Switch game for the year, because everything else is going to be on PC most likely. But it's definitely, if it is the one game for the year, it's going to be a great game. I do like, from what I saw from the gameplay, I'm pretty sure they're going to have a lot of new mechanics. Obviously, when Breath of the Wild came out and everything that you could do with the mechanics and the physics of the game, and then like everything you saw that about a bunch of like speedrunners and stuff like that were able to create based off of what the mechanics and physics of the game were. I think this one is going to be, Nintendo has such a broad mind when it comes to making these games, just making it fun and all the things that you could do. We see that with Mario Galaxy and Mario Odyssey and all the other games that they release. I feel like even though it's kind of like a sequel running on the same engine, doing the same things as Breath of the Wild, I think it's going to be different enough where it feels good, even though it looks the same, So yeah, look out for Nick playing Zelda this year.
That's right.
Next thing we want to talk about, Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. This one obviously was a game that was supposed to be released 11 months ago. Unfortunately, because of the war in Ukraine, Nintendo decided to take a step back and not release a war game during a war. So, kudos to them on taking that initiative. This one is actually going to be released in March. Oh, no, actually, no. April 21st. So I've never been like a big Advance Wars kind of fan. I know it's RTS strategy stuff. It does look fun, but just kind of not my big thing. Are you excited for the RTS stuff?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of like another flavor of Fire Emblem, basically. So I did play the original, I think it wasn't a Nintendo. I think it might have been a Nintendo game, but so the Game Boy Advance version.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, so that's the Advance and Advance Wars is because it launched on Game Boy Advance. I did play that. It's a cool game. I don't know. I can't remember if I played the second one. So this title on the Switch is basically bundling the two games, and it's been reskinned with a new art style, and I think there's other features as well. But I mean, it's. I think there's a recurring theme that you'll hear from me in this episode, where it's like, if you've never played the game, this is a great option. But for me personally, like I've played it. I don't particularly like the new art style, actually. Like I think it's just kind of isn't as cool as the original, so won't be picking this one up.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a theme with this whole direct, where it's either a lot of remasters, remakes, or whatever, and a lot of nostalgia building up. So, speaking of Game Boy, so they also announced Game Boy and Game Boy Advance for the Nintendo Switch Online, which I'm a little bit excited. You know, I'm a big, especially in the era that we grew up in, we played a lot of these Nintendo, Game Boy Advance games that we've wanted to see for a while. Obviously, with the emulation that we're able to do, I like that we can do emulation and kind of play these games, but at the same time, it's not fidelity. And I think that Nintendo offering these, we knew it was only a matter of time. They are slow about these things. I wish they were faster. But we're the type of people, if we enjoy a game that much, we'll buy it 3 or 4 times if need be, I think. Even if we think we're dumb about it, we do it anyways. And
Yeah.
I feel like, you love that. How many times have you bought Chrono Trigger?
I don't even know, like 3 or 4. I don't know.
Exactly. So with this announcement, they basically said they're gonna start offering Game Boy games like they've offered Nintendo NES games and Super Nintendo games and 64 games, and then with the expansion pack, if you have it for the Switch Online, they're gonna be offering the Game Boy Advance. So far, they have Tetris, Metroid 2, Return of Samus, and Wario Land 3, among others, for the Game Boy, and then Mario Kart, Super Circuit, and Zelda Minish Cap for the Game Boy Advance. I am excited. I did see some art for like Zelda Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages, which was, I believe, developed by Capcom.
Capcom, yeah.
And those we haven't really seen anywhere else. So I'm excited for that to be released. I'm excited for the future of all the titles that they're going to bring in there. I know I saw Golden Sun in there as well. I'm excited to play that and emulate on the Switch. What are your thoughts on this? I know it's more remake, remaster, or just emulation.
No, again, I think it's awesome. I think with the Game Boy titles, I don't know if they'll necessarily hold up as well for a new audience. I do think Game Boy Advance, it's actually a great catalog of games, which I actually do think will hold up better versus Game Boys. So I think it's great for people who've never played those games or just want to replay them. I think the Switch is a good option. So I think it's kind of like, it's about time. I think Nintendo has one of the most valuable, if not the most valuable library of games that they own, and being able to put more of those into these subscription services makes a ton of sense to me. So it was an exciting announcement. But again, for me, not something that I'm personally excited or interested in, mainly because I have an analog pocket, which basically,
that's right.
yeah, which is way more. I mean, it was very expensive, so I get that there's like a barrier to entry with the analog pocket platform, but once you have it and it's set up, it basically has everything, and it's amazing. So,
yeah. Well, like you said, a barrier of entry, obviously, with this is fairly low, because the Nintendo Switch Online package, I believe, is $20 for the year, and then the expansion is like $5 or $10. So it's not. It's
just slow. Like, they're just so slow to add new games. So they very, very much just like drip feed games, and that was over a very long period of time, just to like keep people subscribed.
And that was one of the things where, like, I know a couple of journalists asked Nintendo directly, like, what was the release schedule going to be like for the future games, and what future games were going to release, and they kind of didn't say anything like they usually do. So like you said, that is one of the things where, like, you don't know what's coming and you don't know when it's coming out, so that might put a hamper in your in your hopes. But we'll see. Hopefully they have a better release schedule of everything. Next game we want to talk about, Metroid Prime Remastered. And this one, I was super excited when I saw it. I was super excited when I saw that it was actually going to be released on the same day. Obviously, if you don't know, Metroid is one of their biggest franchises. They're working on Metroid Prime 4, but this one is based off of the original from GameCube when they decided to do first person. Very popular game. I know a lot of people have been wanting to get their hands on this, especially a Nintendo remaster of it. And there have been rumors of them doing all three titles, Metroid Prime 1 through 3, in like a bundle. Unfortunately, that this wasn't that, but they still released a full one. It looks great. It does seem to have some updates to the gameplay, where you'll be able to do full 360 movement, which you couldn't do in the game. Before it was more rail type movement, and then some movements with the gameplay and the mechanics of that. What do you think of this one? Are you excited for this one?
Well, a couple of interesting things. One was this is, I think, the second biggest, or it was another big shadow drop, like same day release. So Hi-Fi Rush being the other big one that happened this year. So, is that just like the thing that's going to be happening more?
If we get one every time one of these big companies does some sort of direct, I'm for it.
Yeah, so I think it's cool. It's an exciting way to release a game. I just wonder if people then just create this expectation of that like always being the case, and then they get like frustrated when there isn't some big title drop during one of these showcases. So, but yet another shadow drop, so that was cool. When I first saw the trailer, I was like to me it looked like how I remembered GameCube, and I needed the side by side to actually be able to be like, oh wow, like this. It's not just like a higher resolution. Like they actually put in a lot of work to this game. So I think it does look good. But again, for me, it's like I played Metroid Prime on GameCube at launch. I beat the game. I really enjoyed it. Metroid's one of my favorite franchises. For the longest time, whenever people asked me what my favorite game was, I just said Super Metroid immediately. And in recent years, I've started to think maybe it's something else, but I rate Super Metroid like it's like definitely a top 5 game for me of all time. So I love the franchise. I love Metroid Prime. I don't know if the new graphics and the new control option, and I think there's some other features that they added as well, but I don't know, for me it's like I don't think it's enough for me to want to replay the game again. Like I feel good about what I did when it launched on GameCube. So
well, we talked about this before we recorded, where it was like you have a much more vivid memory of it, of playing it and everything that you were doing as you were playing it.
It's a very polite way of you to tell me that I'm old as shit.
A little bit. You're a little bit older than me. Whereas when I played it, I don't remember it as much, and I did play it. I don't know if I beat it, but I know I got pretty far. But it was just more like I was just playing. I wasn't experiencing it. So I think
this is how vivid this is for me. So I had, so it was my purple GameCube. That might have been the origin of my fascination with purple. But purple GameCube, I got the game at launch. I had this setup where I guess it was called like the VGA port or something like that. But back then, when you had like the big CRT computer monitors, you could actually get like a special cable to connect your GameCube to a computer monitor and play the game in progressive scan mode, which I think is 480p or something like that. So that was like, so that was like, the cool nerdy thing to do back in the day. Like that was like the highest resolution you could play Nintendo GameCube games, and I think not every game supported it, or I can't remember, but yeah, so like I definitely remember playing the game. The music was incredible. Like
I just remember shooting stuff. So definitely two different experiences.
So for me, it's like I don't. Again, like if you've never played the game, then like it looks pretty awesome. Yeah. Like it's a big release for the Switch for sure. So
and it is kind of the market that they are going for, because I know mainly a lot of people that that got the Switch, since it's such a high system seller. I believe it just became
Courtesy of Animal Crossing.
yeah. I believe it just became like the third highest selling console or something like that. It's somewhere
It's
up
sold
there.
more. I think it's sold more than the Wii now. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's because the Wii was like this. Like just, I think it was before mobile gaming was a juggernaut.
And it was a very big motion heavy and like
playing
things together with family and all that stuff. So definitely you have that crowd of people that have the Switch because they've always known Nintendo. They love Nintendo stuff, and that's us. That's the older crowd. And then you have all these younger kids that it's easier for them to have access to a Switch and just getting this experience. So I think it'll work out really, really well for them. I think it's going to be like a good chunk of sales on this. And hopefully, that pushes up Metro Prime 4, which they haven't talked about in a while.
Yeah, I think the other thing, like I don't think I would have bought the game anyway, just because I don't have this desire to replay Metroid Prime. But I do have which I believe now is like a prized possession, but it's the Metroid Prime trilogy that was released on the Wii. Like I don't think it was like, I don't know if they like made that many copies of it or something, but I think it's like kind of hard to find, or I don't know, maybe that's changed. But I remember that being that like it was like a hard thing to get, and then I have that, and so I have like all 3 games in one.
I was gonna say it's gonna become worthless once Nintendo releases their own.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, so to me, it's just like, oh, like why, this would have been so much better. Of course, Nintendo wouldn't do that just from like a business perspective. But to me, it's like like in a prior generation, I was able to get all 3 games in one bundle, but now you're gonna charge for each game individually with a fresh coat of paint and
insert the meme of them just printing money.
And then. Yeah, so I think it gives high hopes of Metroid Prime 4, looking pretty good.
Something to hold everybody over for a bit.
Yeah, I think that's gotta be for the next system, right? Like, there's no way they released that game on.
Listen, man, they have nothing big besides Zelda for the rest of the year. So maybe Shadow drop Metroid Prime 4 into the holidays.
that would break Twitter, no matter how. No matter how well optimized it is, like Metroid Prime 4 is shadow dropping, people lose their mind. But I wonder if that'll be. I don't think it would be a launch, probably not a launch game for the next system, but I do wonder if it's like launch window-ish, where they try to get that out on the earlier side.
And Nintendo is known for holding things back until they're good and ready. So I wouldn't put it past them. All right, moving on. Moving on to the next one, we got Pikmin 4. Never really played any of the Pikmin games. It does look fun. It reminds me of Lemmings, which I also didn't know what I was doing when I played Lemmings. Most of my Lemmings died. I'm sorry, Lemmings. But it does look fun. I know they have a big following of people. The mechanics they showed look really fun. It might be something that I don't pick up just because, like we said, they don't go down. Nintendo titles don't go down in prices, so. Usually I wait for my good deals before I buy anything. And if it's not a day one pickup for me, I don't usually get it down the line on sales. But it does look fun if you're a Pikmin fan. I know you play like 1 or 2.
I definitely beat 1. I can't remember if I probably played 2. I don't think I beat it though. So I think this whole episode is just going to basically making fun of how old I am because I played all these games released a long time ago. Yeah, so Pikmin was another. That was a big deal for GameCube because that was like, which I still think Nintendo gets a lot of criticism to this day, but certainly back in the GameCube era, it was like, oh my god, like Nintendo needs new IP, like it's just Mario and Zelda, and so I think Pikmin was a new IP launching on GameCube, and it was a pretty big deal. It
was also one of those where Nintendo got a lot of shit for it because like who wants to play Pikmin? But then it did really well because people enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think it was Miyamoto's I guess brainchild where. Like allegedly he was like in his backyard or something and was just like, oh, like what?
Some Honey I Shrunk the Kids shit.
Yeah, I was like, you just watched Honey I Shrunk the Kids. don't lie to us. Look, we know you're a big Rick Moranis fan. Yeah. So yeah, I played it. It's fun. It's just like kind of a fairly, you know, refined, fun RTS, type game. But yeah, I don't think I'm not super, excited by the sequels. So
Yeah, it might not be for us.
yeah, I think it might be. I'm just too old now.
We'll watch somebody play it or something, or somebody will tell us if
Yeah.
if you guys out there play it and love it. Let us know on Discord.
Yeah, and I just feel like once you played the first one,
Oh.
you're just like, okay, like I get it. It's a fun kind of control scheme and gameplay mechanics, but I don't know if I necessarily need like more of that, if it's just like more levels or whatever. So I didn't really see too much. I think there's like a dog character, like that's the big addition. It's like there's some
There's a
dog that
dog.
helps
They
you.
all
And I'm
jump
like,
on the dog. The dog
yeah, so it's like, okay.
helps you fight. Or
So
something.
I don't. That's like not enough of a gimmick for me to get like
Yeah.
real excited about it. So yeah.
All right. Next one we want to talk about is Deca Police, and I know you were very excited about this one. This one looks really fun. It's an RPG made by
Level 5.
Level 5, which they also announced Professor Layton, a new Professor Layton game. And we had talked about this because it's been a while since they announced anything. So it's good, and they're good.
People have been wanting it.
Yeah, and they're a good studio. They always release high quality stuff, known for the Professor Layton series and what else?
They did the yokai, yeah, Nino Kuni Yokai Watch.
Yeah, so
there's like their Pokemon kind of knockoff, Dark Cloud,
yeah. So they're a big studio, and it's been a while since.
and one of my favorite games of all time, Dragon Quest 8.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure everybody's excited for this one. The gameplay looks fun. New story. You're a detective, obviously. You're police. You're police. Yeah, like the Wire, the people on the Wire say. I don't know if you've seen the Wire. Anyways, yeah, you're basically you go into this virtual world to practice being police, and it gets hacked. So that looks pretty fun. It looks very interesting. I think it's gonna do well, just like you said. Obviously, with the pedigree of Level 5, a lot of people are gonna flock to it. What are your hopes for this one? I know you like. Besides Zelda, I think this was the only other thing.
My
you
biggest
were like,
hope is that it launches on something other than the Switch. No, it looked fun. I think so. I've liked Level 5. I think they've actually gone through. I don't know if it's like financial issues, but they kind of had a downward trajectory for a while, where like a lot of their titles weren't performing very well. They weren't particularly good. So I was actually surprised to see so many announcements from them. It was 3 games, which I think we'll cover. I think there's one other game, Fantasy Life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at least 3 games were announced from Level 5. So in my mind, it's like, oh, is there going to be this resurgence in Level 5 where they're going to get back to actually pumping out high quality games? So that's one observation on just around the studio, and then. Yeah, Deca Police. Yeah, it looks cool. I like the art style.
right up your alley.
Yeah, I guess it kind of was giving me like Astral Chain. Like I kind of like that setting with Astral Chain. Like it's not exactly the same art style, but it's kind of got like that police angle.
That RPG police angle. It's definitely a different experience.
Yeah. But it's like more turn. It looked like. Kind of like a turn-based.
Yeah, turn-based.
Yeah. So yeah, it looks cool. So my biggest hope is that it comes out on at least PlayStation 5, if not PC, because I don't want to buy that on Switch.
And then obviously with Professor Layton and the New World of Steam, it's their first title since 2014, their new Professor Layton. And then you have the Fantasy Life the Girl Who Steals Time, which, weird title, but that's that one. They already had a game that they released in the Nintendo DS a while ago. It's kind of like a sequel to that, but just kind of the same thing, RPG action.
Yeah, it's like Animal Crossing. I think has more involved systems, and there's like combat mechanics and things like that. So I never played that, but it was a fan favorite 3DS game, and I think people have been looking for something from this franchise for a while. So I'll see about I guess based on its heritage, it would probably stick to Nintendo platforms, but maybe it comes out on PlayStation as well. I'm not sure.
All right.
But it looks cool. I do like the
Professor Layton. The mysteries.
actually no that like the Animal Crossing type games.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like there's that. I saw a bit of like Dragon Quest Builders.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like those types of games. Professor Layton's another like people love those games.
They're very well done. I've never played one, but especially during that period where like it was either all rhythm games or like all mystery games that you were solving mysteries.
Ace Attorney and Professor. Yeah, it's. I'm trying to remember. Like I might have played a little bit of one, but I'm not like into that franchise at all. But it's exciting that it's back.
Yeah, good to see Level 5 stepping up and kind of emerging and doing more titles, and hopefully we see them more in the future. The next couple titles I'm going to just kind of bunch up together because they're a bunch of remakes or remasters of titles.
And I can only say that I've played this game 10 years ago so many times in this episode.
Yeah, so we want to like kind of bunch them up, obviously. Also because, if you played them and we can kind of see which ones we're excited about, which ones are kind of meh. So we got Ghost Trick Phantom Detective. That one's going to be not a remake. It's just going to be a regular release of the game. So it could be a remaster. They really weren't sure, but it's basically essentially the same game that came out. That one's coming out actually to all platforms and to all major platforms in 2023. We got We Love Katamari Reroll and plus Royal Reverie, and that one's a Katamari
Damashi?
Yeah, something like that. That's a remaster of the We Love Katamari game, which your little rolly ball just rolling everything into yourself. So that's pretty fun. We also have. That's it. Oh no, we also have a bunch of RPGs. Batten Kaitos, they're doing a remaster of that, which I know a lot of people are excited about.
So earlier when I was saying, is there a second game that can get me to like do the that's one contender is I can't like so I was interested in like, well, first of all, like the music's incredible. I thought it was like cool that they had that type of RPG on the GameCube back in the day. The card system I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's got a card system and all that's your thing.
Yeah. But I think I'm trying to remember, like this one I don't remember at all, like if I even played it, but I think it had random battles or whatever. So I think one thing that's been interesting is, at least for me, like now playing a lot of Japanese role-playing games from 10 to 20 years ago that had like lots of too frequent random battles and just like those types of things, now that they re-release them with features to be able to like just turn battles off or change the frequency or
speed them up.
Yeah, or like being able to fast forward, like, which might sound kind of silly. It's like, okay, well, that was like how the game was made, but now that exists, it kind of just like gets me way more interested in playing.
Yeah, also now that we're adults and we want to spend our time or need our time to do other things, we definitely need that fast forward.
Yeah. So to me, I'm like, oh, I kind of actually want to see how that one, how it reviews, and if people really like it, I might try to pick that one up. So.
Yeah. So it was definitely they made a lot of good announcements. It was a big direct for JRPGs and remasters. A couple other things that they announced was Disney Illusion Island, which is basically a multiplayer game for the Switch. It's featuring Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, and Donald Duck. You'll be able to play up to 4 people, so that seems pretty interesting. July 28th,
You're a Goofy man, right?
I am a Goofy man.
Yeah, I figured.
What was that? There was a Super Nintendo Goofy game that I always loved playing, and you would play as Goofy or Max. I forget the name of it.
Was
Goofy's
it just
Island.
Goofy movie? Was it just the Goofy
No,
movie?
it was like its own thing. I think it was called Goofy's Island or something like that.
What was the Donald? Wasn't it like called like Quackers or something? Do you remember that? The Donald.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah.
Donald Duck one?
The Darkwing Duck one or no?
No, there was a Donald Duck game too that had some like ridiculous title. I can't remember.
The Goofy one, Goofy's Island,
Yeah,
I think
okay.
was the one for me. You also have Harmony, the Fall Reverie. That one's from the makers of Life is Strange. That one looked pretty.
Yeah, and it looks interesting,
Yeah,
but yeah.
The art looks really great. The music was really good, so that looked really fun. You also have Dead Cells Return to Castlevania, which is basically just an expansion from Castlevania. We both played Dead Cells a bit. We enjoyed it, but it was one of those where it's like, you kind of, once you get it, you get it. Because it's this new type of Metroidvania where you die, live, repeat kind of thing. So that
Yeah,
was
I dropped about 3 hours into that, and then I'm like, okay, I get it, and didn't feel the motivation to continue playing it.
It's on my Switch. Maybe I'll pick it up one day.
Yeah, I think I might have got that on Switch too. I can't remember. Then to me, it's like, okay, so Castlevania is it's part of this expansion pack, but it's like, can we just get an actual Castlevania game?
Yeah.
Please,
just give me that. We want that. You also have Fashion Dreamer, for all those influencers out there. If that's your thing.
I was like cracking up watching this. I'm like, what is this game?
You're
like,
cracking up. It's going to sell 10 million copies. What are you talking about?
I mean, yeah, I guess. But it's like, it wasn't clear to me what you do. Like, you just like dress up and you're like, okay, here's...
And you influence.
Just influence.
Yeah.
Like, you just hit the influence button and...
It's just so funny because, like, that's the furthest thing I would kind of see Nintendo doing, like an influencer game.
They're not making
it.
No,
they're not making it. Let's. But to put it in a direct and kind of like have it at the forefront.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like, so they're in the influencer game now.
Yeah.
And then they also announced some Splatoon DLC, a new area. You're gonna have new shops and shopkeeps, and a new single player campaign. And then obviously the biggest title, Mario Kart Deluxe, is still ongoing. You're gonna have the Yoshi's Island course and also Birdo. So shout outs to you Birdo fans out there. You're gonna get Birdo. So that kind of wraps it up. There is a lot more. We'll put the link in our show notes if you guys want to watch it. It definitely, if you're a big Nintendo fan and you want to see more, I would definitely recommend it if you can get. Damn it, that's a lot. I just tongue-tied myself.
I have no idea what you just said. Yeah.
If you really want to dive in, definitely check it out because there's a lot of stuff that I think there's a lot of stuff for everybody. They did a good job of that.
No Donkey Kong.
No Donkey Kong. We haven't seen Donkey Kong in a minute. Tropical Freeze, which kind of
give me some Donkey Kong, dude.
Yeah, which kind of obviously we know Nick is a big Donkey Kong fan. If you saw our Halloween episode, so if you haven't, go and check that out. One thing to wrap it up, I did want to ask, or just give our answers to, in general, what we thought of the direct, anything that we missed that we wish we would have seen, and what our outlook is for the future of Nintendo. I know we did like a big state of the game for Nintendo and Sony and Xbox, but now that we've seen the direct, what are your thoughts on it coming out of it?
It's kind of what was predicted. I think going back to our what do we expect from 2023 episode, it was Tears of the Kingdom, and then some other titles, remasters, so
some other stuff to distract you.
yeah. So that's pretty much what it is. But it was good to get more information about exactly what that other stuff is. I mean, again, for me, there's not a ton for me to get excited about, but I do think there's, for younger generations of gamers, getting access to these older games with a fresh coat of paint, I think that's great. So I think it was actually a good, again, for me personally, not the most exciting one, but I think taking off my blinders and just like trying to think about, okay, I actually think that was like a pretty good, like that was a strong Nintendo Direct for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think the same thing. Like you said, it's definitely maybe we weren't the demographic for it, obviously, because we played a lot of these games. But for some of the things, you definitely do want to get your hands on. I know I'm definitely probably going to play a couple of the Game Boy Advance games just to feel the nostalgia. The main thing, obviously, was Zelda, and that's the only main thing they're pushing this year that we know of. So they did a great job of that, and I think it just kind of reaffirmed everybody's commitment to it and kind of their hype level for it. So it's going to be a really big May for them. In terms of the future, we both do think that they're going to announce something soon. Obviously, I think within this year they should announce more games because you got to have something for the back half of the year. Because after Zelda releases from June until December, you really don't have anything that you've announced that's kind of big that could take a hold. And usually they do have 2 or 3 titles released during the year, whether it's a Mario, whether it's a Zelda, whether it's a what else? What's their biggest franchise? Just their biggest franchises: Metroid, Kirby, anything like that. They do have Kirby coming out and stuff, but nothing firm. So it is kind of weird that they're kind of taking a step back, and they don't like to talk about it. But the expectations are to switch to next year. So it's good. They're in a really weird spot where they're still going to be continuing to sell, but they know that the hardcore people are like, just give us a Switch 2 already and whatever you're bringing with it.
Yeah.
All right, and that does it for the Nintendo Direct episode. Like I said, really enjoyable Direct. I'm glad that we saw everything we got to see, and I can't wait to get my hands on some of these games. You can't wait to get your hands on it on PC.
Just give me that Zelda.
Yeah. All right, so we'll just move on to some closing thoughts. Started off playing some Ghost of Tsushima again. I know I finished the main story last week, but I've been playing the Legends. I know I wanted to play Dead Space, but I was like, I don't want to start Dead Space right now. And I'm waiting for Wild Hearts that comes out next Friday on the 17th. So I was like, let me play some Legends. And I'm really enjoying it. I managed to match up with some random person online, and we beat like 8 or 9 missions, and it was really good. And I like the classes and stuff like that. So I can't wait till, you get your hands on it and you're able to play a little bit, and we can maybe form up a little group and do the missions together. Because definitely you want to have some communication to do things. And it's a really fun experience that you could just jump in and play for a bit and then jump out. So I'm excited for that. Also, Monster Hunter World has
it's back.
Yeah, seen a rise in our Discord. I know everybody's super excited to play Wild Hearts that's coming out. And when we played Monster Hunter World, we didn't really have a Discord, so it was mostly just us two and Ollie.
I don't even think I knew how to use it. I still don't know how to use it, but I certainly didn't know how to use it.
Yeah.
Back when we were playing Monster Hunter World.
So when we started on Discord, the Pressing Buttons Discord, everybody was kind of moved on from it. But it's good to see that there's a lot of people playing it. We got Caesar, Zach, Kako and Mako, and a bunch of other people playing it. It kind of gave me the itch. I want to go back, but for those that know,
I don't know, man. Like, I think it's hard. It's hard to get back into that game,
Yeah.
and I also feel like I'd rather just wait until Wild Hearts is out, so I don't get like kind of a little, not like totally burned out, but
yeah,
I don't
burn
want
out of monsters.
yeah. So like, to me, I just want to go in clean to Wild Hearts.
And Monster Hunter World is one of those things. Obviously, the missions are kind of long, especially in the beginning when you don't know what you're doing or like the best mechanics. But these quests take a while, so that's also putting a lot of time into them.
Oh my God,
You're
yeah.
in hunts for like 30 to 45 minutes, so it's
Yeah.
kind of weird. But definitely shout outs to everybody on Discord that's playing it. It did give me the itch. I think I might jump in just because I'm pretty high leveled. I did a lot of the end game stuff, so I do want to help them out.
That's an understatement. You're high leveled in both the PC version as well as the PlayStation version.
It had a hold on me for a while,
Yeah.
but it is a fun game. So that's one of those things where it's like, I do want to play it to help them out. So I might. So shout outs to everybody that's keeping the Monster Hunter World channel alive.
Do we have a Wild Hearts channel yet?
No, our Wild Hearts channel is our Monster Hunter channel.
Yeah. I think we need to.
We'll probably just
carve
have to
that
do
out.
like a big monster hunting channel where we could do both. Not necessarily Monster Hunter, but
Okay.
all right. And then in terms of television, besides watching The Last of Us, which I don't want to do like a recap every week of the episode, we'll probably do like a big talk of it when the season's over, because we're both watching at the same time and we both like it. I decided to rewatch The Leftovers, which we're both big fans of. One of the best series that HBO has had in our opinions. I think we
Very underrated. Like, I feel like it doesn't get enough attention.
Yeah, it was one of those things. I think like when we first met, it kind of came out around the same time, and it was one of those things that we kind of bonded a lot over. Where we're like, oh my God, all this crazy shit happening. It's a very good show. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. All 3 seasons are on HBO Max. Just very lost. Damon Lindelof, I believe is the name. He was one of the creators of Lost. He created that show, so it definitely has a lot of mysteries and also a lot of good human drama. So check that out. What about you? What you been up to? I know one of the things you've been up to, Minecraft Dungeons.
Yeah, Minecraft Dungeons per your recommendation,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
which I appreciate because I've been wanting to play this basically when it came out. I was like, oh, this looks like a fun, just kind of jump in and
it wasn't
and
Game
kill some
Pass.
shit. It wasn't. Yeah, it was in Game Pass. Yeah. So I played it solo when basically when it came out just to mess around with it. I was like, oh, this is fun. I think this would be a good co-op game for sure, and just could never get people over the like, oh my god, it's a Minecraft game and Minecraft is for kids or my kids or I get it, but like I feel like it's just like a simple fun, just go around and kill shit, get some loot.
Yeah. Well, the main thing was that like you weren't enjoying Halo, and I wasn't enjoying watching you play Halo. So I was like, you guys need a new game.
Yeah, that was probably the first ever like infighting of game night where I just said not playing Halo anymore, and then.
But it did look fun. Like you guys played it on game night on our game night channel. If anybody wants to join and play with any of these guys for game night, let us know and we'll put you in there. But it did look
Dungeons,
fun,
baby.
Yeah, it did look fun from spectator view because I was at work, so I was just watching you guys play. Definitely way more fun than Halo. You guys were definitely in some areas where you shouldn't have been, so you were getting your ass kicked in certain areas. But like you were enjoying yourself, and it's different powers, different weapons, and all that stuff. So it looks like a pretty fun game for a group of people.
For sure. Yeah, I think it's a great, easy to play, pick up and play co-op game. So really enjoy it. So I think we're gonna continue playing it.
I'll have to find out if it's crossplay. I might play it on PC. I might, get it on PC.
Yeah, you'll have to buy it though.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Okay. Or you could just get Game Pass.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll buy it.
You can buy the game. Yeah, no, definitely get it. It's fun. So yeah, there was Minecraft Dungeons. I also played a little bit of Genshin Impact.
Oh yeah.
So there's just a ton of content that's been coming out. I think there's even more stuff coming.
Don't you love that? Don't you love when like you haven't played a game in a while and then you just jump in there and it's just like, it's a
well, there's a fucking trading card game in the game now, which is, I think that's been out for a few months. So it was like something that I saw like in an announcement and then I just kind of forgot about it. And then when I was in the game, I'm like, oh my God, that's
getting addicted to
collect some
else.
cards. And, so yeah, I picked that back up just because I think a couple people on the channel have been playing it, notably Deepaz. He's deep into Genshin. So yeah, I reinstalled it, played some co-op with him, which was a ton of fun actually. I don't think I've played co-op before in Genshin, but it's actually very easy and super fun. So I think we're gonna play more of that as well. Yeah, and it's good. It's like I played it when it first came out. I played it a ton, and I got to like level 60 for most of my like main characters, and then haven't played it in a couple years. So there was like a lot of stuff to figure out. But
a nice meaty download.
It's all good. Oh yeah, it was a huge download, dude. It took me like 45 minutes just to download this thing. So that's why I had to uninstall Halo.
Yeah,
I was like, I need to make some space. Halo is not fun.
Never playing this again.
It's out. It's out.
We all need that extra space for good things.
So that was it on the PC front, and then I did pick up God of War again.
Nice.
I played it a bunch at launch, and then I just kind of got sidetracked with holidays, and then and basically just now picked it back up again. I think according to you, I'm like pretty far along.
Yeah, like somewhere in the middle.
But yeah, it's good. Like to me, it's more of the same. It's more of God of War. I think I'm perfectly happy with that. But I do remember like when it launched, a lot of people I heard kind of mixed opinions. Like some people were like, oh, it's more the same, and that therefore it's not good.
Yeah.
I also heard people say that like, oh, there's some like turning point where it becomes more of the same.
I think it's just when you get the opportunity to go with other characters, and it's not just
Is that
Kratos
you think that's
and
what people are talking
Atreus,
about? Yeah,
Because I enjoyed it regardless. I'm a big God of War fan. So,
yeah.
you know.
So I think I'm just enjoying it
Yeah.
and taking my time with it. But yeah, I'm just trying to remember like, yeah, I guess I was wondering if people were talking about the more like tag along things, which I'm like, oh, it's like interesting, but
Are you
not
enjoying
like
the combat?
game-changing.
Because I know the combat, even though it's like a certain way, it's much more robust system where you can do different things with the stuff. So I think that the combat and the other people you play with that tag along with you, I think that those were the two things I enjoyed the most.
Yeah, I think the combat with Kratos is great. I don't like as much the Atreus
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So it's fine. I just kind of view that as more like
Well,
the
he is
story, but like
yeah, he is a little kid. He doesn't really. You
it's
feel
just
invincible
hitting,
as Kratos.
It's just like hitting these monsters with a bow.
Yeah.
As I'm like, okay, like whatever.
You just want to get Kratos
I just
in there.
I just want to fuck people up with an axe.
Yeah.
And but yeah, no, enjoying it.
You get a third weapon, by the way. I don't want to spoil what it is. But
Yeah, I think I know what it is.
Okay.
I think I got spoiled from me already, but you know,
which
whatever.
they do a good job of introducing. I think towards the end you'll see a bunch of storylines kind of wrap up, and I think you'll enjoy that part too. For a lot of the side characters, where you're like, you know, you feel a lot more for them and you understand them more and stuff like that. So,
Cool.
Great game. It is. It's a Super Bowl tomorrow. We're recording this on Saturday. Super Bowl's tomorrow on Sunday. There is a teaser for some reason of something God of War related that Sony is releasing for the commercials. Obviously, I love watching the Super Bowl for the game, but a lot of it as well as the commercials. You know, you want to see a lot of stuff that they want to premiere, a lot of movie commercials. And since video games have been so big, so I'm kind of excited to see what that's going to be, whether it's because of the show, maybe some more single player DLC, because it is weird. It's like $7 million to put on a commercial, and you're going to do it after the game's been out for 3 months.
Yeah,
That's kind of weird. So it might be something new. So be on the lookout for that. Other thing I wanted to say real quick before we wrap it up was the Hogwarts. I know a lot of people on Discord have been playing Hogwarts. It's been very popular on Twitch. Very big system seller. I think it was the highest played Steam game for the early access, because you were able to play it 5 days before it actually released.
I think it was like the highest number of concurrent viewers on Twitch for I think just for like single player games.
Yeah,
I think I don't know, but it was huge success on Twitch as well.
So shout out to everybody on Discord who's playing it. Everybody seems to be enjoying it. They like the character creator. They're making young versions of themselves. I'm hearing they're like, if only I could put a beard, and I'm like, what? Fifth year Hogwarts student has a beard.
I mean, you did, didn't you?
Yeah. That's the main concern. Like, we, the Dominicans, I had a mustache in middle school. So they're having a lot of fun. I've looked at a couple streams of it. It looks really fun. And so far from the reviews I've read and stuff like that, it seems like they did a Hogwarts justice. So you feel like you're at Hogwarts and all the surrounding area. And I know there's some controversy with the author, but just kind of, I feel like everybody should understand that the studio themselves, they don't have the same point of view that she does, and they wanted to make an inclusive game for everybody to play and everybody to enjoy. And it seems like everybody is doing that. There is some qualms and people want to battle it out, but it's a game. Enjoy yourself. If you're enjoying it, don't bring that into it. So. And I know you're gonna get it soon. You and your wife are gonna play it. Yeah,
I think we're gonna try it tonight. Yeah, so it's a single player game, but we're gonna figure out if we can kind of play it together in some way where it should basically be the Harry Potter lore expert. So I'm not remotely familiar with Harry Potter. Like, I know some stuff because it's such a pop culture.
Wait till you see Harry Potter pop up.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm like generally familiar with some of the things in Harry Potter, but I'm not familiar with the lore in any detail. She is though, like, so yeah. She was like obsessed with all the books, and so we're trying to figure out a way, like, whether I'm playing and she's just there, or if she's playing, and I don't know. We'll figure out how to like tag team that game, but yeah, we're gonna try to do that tonight and see how it goes.
Well, definitely go for whatever house she gets picked, because you are like probably a Slytherin. I'm a Slytherin, definitely.
Okay, I
So,
don't know what that means.
Those are the
but
bad ones.
The bad ones?
Well, they're not bad, you know. That's mostly where the bad guys come from, but it's not a bad house.
I did hear there were some people saying there's like specifically one house that you should try to avoid because it doesn't like have as much like content or something. So
it's probably Hufflepuff.
I need to look that up.
Hufflepuff sounds like.
Yeah, that'd be pretty lean on content, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, all right. Well, enjoy the Harry Potter. We'll see. We'll get your opinions next week.
Yeah, no, I think I've said this before where not the biggest Harry Potter fan, but I really like the games that Avalanche Studios does, so particularly Mad Max. So if it's just kind of that type of game, but leveraging the Harry Potter IP, like that's something I'm interested in. And
yeah, I myself would have gotten it already if I hadn't been so committed to my road plan for February of beat Tsushima, get Dead Space, beat Dead Space, play Wild Hearts, wait for Destiny. So I have my road plan. But that's never stopped me before from buying a game that I don't necessarily have time for and playing it.
Yeah.
All right, that does it for us in our very Nintendo heavy episode. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. I'm Hugo. Bye.
I'm Nick. Later.